Hi everyone, I wanted to make a quick video about a book that I finished about a month ago that has stuck with me and I can't stop thinking about. It is called 15 Wild Decembers by Karen Powell, and it's a reimagining of the life of Emily Brontë we follow Emily from her childhood up until her death, and the kind of her relationship with her sisters and the evolution of how Wuthering Heights came to be. So I am a big Brontë sister fan, so I really enjoyed this book just because it was about the sisters, especially Emily. I've read their books multiple times over the years, but I've never read a book like this one where we kind of get into them as the character, not just the characters they wrote. So that was one of the draws to reading this. But it was really the themes that have stuck with me, especially one about wildness and connection to landscape and home. That was a real central focus of this book, at least from my perspective, and it's the one that's kind of lingered the most in my mind. So personally for me, I think quite a bit about connection to landscape and nature and how that shapes me as a person. So I think that's why this has stuck out with me so much from this book, because Emily was deeply shaped by the moors, and it really informed her work, Wuthering Heights, and how she wrote the characters and the setting. And from my understanding of Emily Brontë, it really shaped her as a person. She was deeply attached to where she lived and the landscape around it. So that is what has been kind of tickling me this entire time since I closed the book, because there is this theme of longing for wildness and connecting with the wildness and not conforming to what others want you to be and who you're supposed to be, in the eyes of others, but like reaching for that wildness and like protecting it and listening to it. And it was interesting because from when I was reading the book, it was like Emily was blossoming when she was on the moors. She was homesick for them in the book. And that's how she came to write her work. She didn't have that connection with that landscape, with the nature of that landscape, we wouldn't have Wuthering Heights. And I loved seeing that echo of the story of Wuthering Heights coming through. The way the author wrote this book is that you can start to imagine, hear the echo of the stories, even of Jane Eyre, even though this book wasn't focused on Charlotte Brontë. It's you can start to see where the sisters' novels came from at these moments in time in their life and their experiences. And, I guess, yes, I could read this anywhere else of, a academic article or biography about their life. But this really, it struck a chord with me, and I just couldn't stop thinking about it. So yeah, that was the theme that stood out for me the most, and it's something that I think just touched a chord in my own life at this moment that I've been thinking about, belonging and wildness and connection to landscape and being true to yourself and kind of listening to what it's telling you. Because Emily, in the story, she seemed to listen to it and follow it, and it opened up a creativity and a story that was within her, and in many ways led her back to a more authentic version of herself. What also makes this book special for me is that I was traveling through the UK while reading it, and I was in Haworth for 3 days. And so being kind of in the mind of Emily Brontë, in the place where she wrote her novels and she lived, and seeing this echo come through the book and being rooted in the place, was especially amazing and very, powerful in its own way. And I'm really grateful that I got to read this in the place where it's set. It just brings on a whole new level of just connecting with an author, their work, and then just how we kind of keep that work alive. I deeply love the moors around Haworth. I used to live not too far from there, so this was my third time visiting. and just going back and just being in that landscape all over again, and being in that place where your favorite writers wrote books that, you know, really shaped in many ways my own creativity. I identify with these works at very specific points in my life, and then just to be there, being where they were, seeing things that they might have seen, you know, like, it just is truly incredible. It's like you can't replicate that anywhere else. So I will wrap up this video, and I'm going to leave you with a poem called Remembrance by Emily Brontë, which features the line 15 Wild Decembers, just like the title of the book. So enjoy.
Cold in the earth in 15 wild Decembers, from those brown hills have melted into spring. Faithful indeed is the spirit that remembers after such years of change and suffering.